LeBron James was 9 years old when he made a promise that would shock the world. Standing in the doorway of their 13th eviction notice, watching his mother Gloria cry into her hands, young LeBron whispered words that seemed impossible for a homeless kid from Akron, Ohio. "Mom, I'm gonna buy you a house someday, a big one, and we'll never have to move again." That night, December 15th, 1993, as they packed their few belongings into garbage bags once more, nobody could have imagined that this scared little boy would one day become the first active NBA player to reach billionaire status. But LeBron James wasn't just any homeless kid. He was about to discover something that would change everything. Before we dive into this incredible journey, hit that subscribe button and let's explore how a child who slept on 14 different couches in a single year became the king of basketball. This isn't just a rags to riches story. This is about a promise, a basketball, and a mother's love that defied every odd. Gloria James was just 16 when LeBron was born. No father in the picture, no family support, and no money. They lived in a one-bedroom apartment in the projects of Akron, where gunshots were more common than birthday parties. But Gloria had something money couldn't buy, an unbreakable determination to give her son a better life. The problem was, life had other plans. By the time LeBron turned 8, they had already moved 11 times. Not by choice, but by necessity. Eviction notices became as regular as school lunch menus. Gloria worked 3 jobs, cleaning offices at night, stocking shelves at dawn, and babysitting in the afternoons. Still, it wasn't enough. LeBron learned to pack quickly. He could fit his entire life into a single backpack. 2 shirts, 1 pair of jeans, some underwear, and his most prized possession, a worn-out Michael Jordan poster he'd found in a dumpster behind a sports store. "We're going on another adventure, baby," Gloria would say, forcing a smile as they walked to yet another temporary shelter. But LeBron wasn't fooled. He saw the tears she thought she was hiding. He heard her crying in the bathroom at 2 a.m., whispering prayers to a God who seemed to have forgotten their address. That's when LeBron started making promises he had no idea how to keep. Everything changed on a cold February morning in 1994. 9-year-old LeBron was walking to his new school, the 4th one that year, when he saw something that would alter the course of his life forever. Behind the Salvation Army building, partially buried under snow and garbage, was an old basketball. It wasn't just any basketball. It was orange, like the sun LeBron rarely saw from their basement shelter. It was round, like the hope that kept growing in his chest despite everything. And it was free, which was exactly LeBron's budget. He dug it out, brushed off the dirt, and bounced it once. The sound echoed off the brick walls like a promise. At that moment, standing in an alley that smelled of broken dreams, LeBron James found his destiny. But here's what nobody knew. That basketball was about to save not just LeBron, but his mother, and eventually thousands of other kids who thought they had no way out. LeBron started carrying that basketball everywhere. To school, to the shelter, to the grocery store when Gloria could afford groceries. Other kids laughed at the homeless boy with the dirty basketball, but LeBron didn't care. He had found something that couldn't be evicted, something that couldn't be taken away, something that was entirely his. He would sneak out at night while Gloria worked her cleaning job, finding empty parking lots lit by streetlights, practicing shots he'd seen on TV through store windows. The basketball became his best friend, his escape, his hope. Then came the day that changed everything. Frank Walker was driving past the community center when he saw something that made him stop his car. A small boy, maybe 9 years old, was playing basketball alone at 11 p.m. But this wasn't just casual shooting around. This kid was practicing with the intensity of a professional running drills LeBron had invented himself, talking to the basketball like it was a coach. Frank was a youth football coach, but he recognized raw talent when he saw it. More importantly, he recognized a kid who needed help. Frank walked onto that court and asked LeBron a simple question. "Son, where are your parents?" LeBron, suspicious after years of bouncing between social workers and shelter staff, just pointed toward the community center. "My mom's working. We're staying there tonight." That's when Frank learned the truth. This incredibly talented kid was homeless, had been bouncing between shelters and friends' couches for over a year, and was missing more school than he was attending. But instead of seeing a problem, Frank saw potential. "How would you and your mom like to stay at my house for a while?" Frank asked, "just until you get back on your feet." LeBron looked at this stranger who was offering what no one else had: stability. "What do you want in return?" he asked, wise beyond his 9 years. Frank smiled. "I want you to keep playing basketball, and I want you to go to school every day. Deal?" That handshake changed American sports history. Living with the Walker family gave LeBron something he'd never had: routine. Wake up at 6 a.m., breakfast with the family, school from 8 to 3, homework until 5, basketball practice until dark, dinner together, bedtime at 9 p.m. For the first time in his life, LeBron knew where he'd be sleeping tomorrow night. But more importantly, Frank introduced LeBron to organized basketball. The local youth league was a revelation. LeBron had been playing alone for so long he'd forgotten basketball was a team sport, but his raw talent was undeniable. In his first game, he scored 18 points and grabbed 12 rebounds. The opposing coach asked Frank, "How old is that kid really?" LeBron was 10 years old and already dominating kids 3 years older. But the basketball success was just the beginning. Frank made sure LeBron understood that basketball was a tool, not a destination. "Education first," Frank would say. "Basketball second. Character always." Gloria, finally able to focus on one job instead of 3, watched her son transform. The angry, scared boy who'd learned to fight for everything was becoming a leader, a student, a young man with dreams bigger than survival. By age 12, LeBron was already a local legend. High school coaches were calling Frank's house, asking about that Walker kid. But LeBron never forgot who he really was, and more importantly, he never forgot his promise to his mother. Every night he'd call Gloria and tell her about his day. Every weekend he'd visit her new apartment, the first stable place she'd lived in years, thanks to the breathing room Frank's generosity had provided. And every time he saw her, he'd repeat the same promise: "I'm gonna buy you a house, Mom. A big one." Gloria would smile and tell him to focus on school, but privately, she was starting to believe. LeBron wasn't just good at basketball, he was special. Coaches who'd seen hundreds of talented kids all said the same thing: "I've never seen anything like this." But talent without opportunity is just potential energy. LeBron needed a stage, and that stage was about to arrive in the form of St. Vincent Street Mary High School, a small Catholic school in Akron that was about to become the center of the basketball universe. The question was a homeless kid from the projects ready for that kind of pressure? When LeBron entered St. Vincent Street Mary as a freshman, he stood 6 feet 1 inch and weighed 170 pounds. Not impressive by NBA standards, but he moved like poetry in motion. Coach Drew Joyce II saw immediately what Frank Walker had recognized years earlier. This wasn't just talent. This was greatness in development. But high school basketball brought new challenges. LeBron was now playing against kids whose parents could afford private coaches, summer camps, and the best equipment. Meanwhile, LeBron was still wearing hand-me-down shoes and practicing in whatever gym would let him in. The doubt crept in during his first varsity game. The opposing team had scouted him, knew his story, and decided to get psychological. "Go back to the shelter, homeless boy," one player taunted during free throws. "You don't belong here." LeBron missed the free throw, his first real failure since finding basketball. Walking back to defense, something inside him snapped. Not anger, something deeper. A recognition that he'd been given an opportunity thousands of kids just like him would never get. He owed it to them, to his mother, to Frank Walker, and to that 9-year-old boy who'd made an impossible promise: to be great. The next possession, LeBron stole the ball, drove coast to coast, and dunked with such authority that the gym fell silent. He landed, looked directly at the kid who'd taunted him, and said quietly, "I'm not homeless anymore, but I remember." By his junior year, LeBron James was no longer just an Ohio phenomenon. Sports Illustrated put him on the cover with the headline, "The Chosen One." ESPN was broadcasting his high school games nationally. College coaches were offering scholarships before he'd even visited their campuses. But with fame came temptation, and with temptation came choices that would define his character forever. Shoe companies started calling, not just offering college deals, but professional contracts. Nike, Adidas, Reebok, they all wanted to sign the high school junior who was already being compared to Michael Jordan. The numbers being discussed were life-changing. 7 figures, 8 figures, money that would solve every problem LeBron and Gloria had ever had. LeBron was 17 years old, still sleeping in Frank Walker's spare bedroom, still wearing the same 3 shirts to school in rotation. The money was tempting, but he remembered something Frank had taught him. Easy money disappears easy. Earned money lasts forever. Instead of signing the deals, LeBron made a different choice. He decided to bet on himself one more time, to finish high school, to enter the NBA draft, and to prove he was worth even more than the companies were offering. It was the riskiest decision of his young life, and everything depended on what happened next. June 26, 2003, NBA Draft Night. 19-year-old LeBron James sat in a green room in New York City, wearing his first tailored suit, waiting to hear his name called. Gloria sat beside him, holding the same hands that had packed garbage bags in homeless shelters just 10 years earlier. The Cleveland Cavaliers had the first pick. LeBron's hometown team, just 40 miles from Akron. It felt like destiny, but in sports, destiny and disappointment are often separated by the thinnest of margins. With the first pick in the 2003 NBA draft, Commissioner David Stern announced, "The Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James." The cameras caught Gloria's tears, but they missed the moment LeBron whispered in her ear, "Remember that promise I made when I was 9? I'm about to keep it." 3 months later, LeBron signed a 7-year, $90 million contract with Nike, the largest rookie endorsement deal in sports history. His first purchase wasn't a car or jewelry or clothes. It was a house, a big house, in Akron, Ohio, for his mother. When he handed Gloria the keys, she cried the same tears she'd cried during those eviction notices. But these were different tears. These were tears of a promise kept, a dream realized, a journey completed. LeBron's rookie season was everything the hype promised and more. He averaged 20.9 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 5.9 assists, numbers that would make veteran players jealous. But more importantly, he brought hope to a city that had forgotten how to dream. Cleveland hadn't won a major sports championship in 39 years. The Cavaliers had been one of the NBA's worst franchises. Suddenly, season tickets were selling out. Jerseys were flying off the shelves, and a teenager from Akron was being called the King. But LeBron never forgot where he came from. He established the LeBron James Family Foundation, focusing on education and support for at-risk youth. Every kid he helped was a 9-year-old version of himself. Every family he supported was Gloria trying to make it work with 3 jobs and no help. Frank Walker, who'd taken in a homeless boy and given him stability, found himself with courtside seats to every Cavaliers game. "I just gave him a place to sleep," Frank would tell reporters. "He did all the work." But LeBron knew better. Without Frank's faith, without that basketball in the alley, without his mother's unwavering love, none of this would have been possible. 13 years after being drafted, LeBron faced his greatest challenge. It wasn't about personal success. He'd already won championships in Miami and proven he could win anywhere. This was about completing a circle, fulfilling a debt, keeping the most important promise of all. Returning to Cleveland in 2014, LeBron had one goal: bring a championship to the city that had believed in him first. The pressure was immense. Cleveland's championship drought had stretched to 52 years. An entire generation had been born, grown up, and had children without seeing their city win anything. Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals, Cleveland Cavaliers versus Golden State Warriors. The Warriors had won 73 games during the regular season, the most in NBA history. They'd taken a 3-1 series lead. No team in NBA Finals history had ever come back from 3-1 down. With 1 minute 50 seconds left in Game 7, LeBron made the play that defined his career. Chasing down a fast break, he blocked what seemed like a sure basket, a play that became known as the block. Cleveland won the game 93-89, and LeBron collapsed on the court, sobbing like that 9-year-old boy who'd found a basketball in an alley. "Cleveland, this is for you," he screamed, and a city that had waited 52 years finally celebrated. In 2022, Forbes announced that LeBron James had become the first active NBA player to reach billionaire status. The homeless boy from Akron was now worth over $1 billion. But the numbers, impressive as they were, missed the real story. LeBron had kept every promise he'd ever made. The house for his mother, check. The championship for Cleveland, check. The foundation for kids like him, check. But there was one more promise, one he'd made to himself that cold night when he'd found that basketball. The I Promise School opened in Akron in 2018. It wasn't just another celebrity charity project. It was a fully funded public school for at-risk kids, providing free tuition, free meals, free transportation, free uniforms, and free bicycles. But more importantly, it provided something LeBron had nearly lost: hope. Every student at the I Promise School gets the same thing LeBron had gotten from Frank Walker: stability, belief, and the chance to dream bigger than their circumstances. The school serves breakfast because LeBron remembered being hungry. It provides after-school care because LeBron remembered Gloria working nights. It offers counseling because LeBron remembered feeling scared and alone. "Every kid that walks through these doors," LeBron said at the opening ceremony, "is me at 9 years old. They just need someone to believe in them." Today, LeBron James owns homes worth millions, cars worth hundreds of thousands, and investments worth billions. But he still lives in Akron during the off-season. He still visits Frank Walker. He still calls his mother every day. More importantly, he still remembers what it felt like to be homeless, to be scared, to wonder where he'd sleep tomorrow night. That memory drives everything he does, every business decision he makes, every charity he supports, every young player he mentors. When people ask LeBron about his greatest achievement, they expect him to mention his 4 NBA championships, his 4 MVP awards, or his billionaire status. Instead, he talks about a letter he received from a single mother in Akron whose son was struggling in school. The I Promise school had given her child hope, she wrote. For the first time, her son believed he could go to college. That letter, LeBron said, is worth more than every trophy I've ever won. But LeBron's story isn't finished. At 38 years old, he's still playing at an elite level, still chasing championships, still proving that age is just a number when you've lived multiple lifetimes' worth of experiences. His son, Bronny, is following in his footsteps, potentially creating the first father-son duo to play in the NBA simultaneously. There's a moment that perfectly captures who LeBron James really is. In 2020, during the height of the pandemic, LeBron was walking through his neighborhood in Los Angeles when he saw a homeless family living in their car. The father recognized him immediately. "Mr. James," the man said, "my kids are huge fans. Could they get a picture?" LeBron took the picture, but he couldn't stop thinking about the family. The next day, he returned with his assistant and a social worker. By the end of the week, the family was in temporary housing. By the end of the month, the father had a job at one of LeBron's companies. By the end of the year, they had their own apartment. LeBron never publicized this story. It only came out when the father shared it on social media a year later. "LeBron James saved my family," he wrote. "He didn't do it for cameras or credit. He did it because he remembered." That's the real LeBron James story. Not the basketball achievements, not the business success, not even the billion-dollar net worth. The real story is about a 9-year-old boy who made a promise and has spent his entire life keeping it. Not just to his mother, but to every kid who's ever felt hopeless, every family that's ever struggled, every person who's ever needed someone to believe in them. Today, when LeBron James drives through Akron, he passes the community center where Frank Walker first found him. He passes the shelters where he slept as a child. He passes the alley where he found that life-changing basketball. But now he also passes the I Promise school, where 1,200 kids who might have ended up homeless instead have hope. The scared boy who once packed his life into a backpack has become the man who unpacks opportunity for others. The child who was told he didn't belong has created places where everyone belongs. The kid who made an impossible promise has made the impossible his life's work. LeBron James wasn't just born to be a basketball player. He was born to prove that where you come from doesn't determine where you're going. That promises made in the dark can be kept in the light, and that sometimes all it takes is one person believing in you to change everything, from homeless to king, from broken promises to promises kept, from a basketball in an alley to billion-dollar dreams. This is the real LeBron James story, and the best part, he's still writing it. If this story inspired you, make sure to subscribe for more incredible journeys of triumph over adversity. Like this video if you believe everyone deserves someone to believe in them. And remember, every king was once a child who refused to give up on their dreams.